Hey, what's up, everybody? This is our very, well, you can say it's episode 01. It is one of a second chance at this, if you will. So what we did is we talk a lot about the Cowvolution. This is a fun episode where we kind of discuss some oddities with cows and fears, if you will. And this is really where you're going to learn a lot about my fear of sharks and the ocean. So sit back, relax, and give a listen to this episode. This is a very, very early episode, so we don't have a lot of our housekeeping in here, so I'm just going to throw that out there real quick. If this is the first time you've ever seen Language of Bromance 2, go to our website, languageofbromance.com, and check out any of our newer episodes. I swear we have gotten a lot better. We're on Twitter, Facebook. Twitter is at Language of Bro. Facebook, you can find us at languageofbromance.com. And then our website as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello once again, I'm Richard.
And I'm Sean.
And we are speaking the language of bromance. Hey man.
What up? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm ready to rock and roll.
It's episode 2-ish.
2-ish?
Yeah.
I like 2.
I haven't decided if we're going to do 0-0 yet on that or if we're going to do, call it 0-1. We'll probably call it 0-1 just to stay consistent.
It's the origin story.
Yeah. Issue 0 or just, you always see those later on, so we'll just start with issue number 1. Why not?
Episode Krypton.
So what you been up to? What's been going on?
I really haven't been doing much. I've been trying to stay away from playing games, video game. I've learned that a video game to me is a complete and utter time vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start with something for a minute, and then I don't know if it's just maybe I'm a completionist. I don't know, but I start playing, and then I just keep going and going and going. And the last worst example for me was Diablo 3. I rented Diablo 3 I had it for I think for like 5 days or something. Then after it was 3 days late, then I went back and renewed it for another 5 days, and then just kept and I just kept going. And really, the point of that, I mean, there is a story to the game, and I'm not trying to diminish the story. It's pretty decent, but basically and essentially, what that game is you run around and you kill things and you take stuff and you use that stuff to kill more things to get more stuff, and that's all you do. You just kill and loot, and you kill and you loot. But you get it's almost like an addiction thing, because you start and you're like, oh, I get something better. Well, if I keep going, then I'll get something else that's even better than that, and you just keep going and going, and then you're like, oh, 3 days went by and I never saw the sun.
Well, it's kind of like that WoW factor. Like, I don't remember if you've ever played WoW, but I played it for like just a few months. But you start out with like nothing. It's like, oh, well, if I play an hour or two, I'll gain a level, and I get this new thing. And it's like, well, I just got to get to level 60. Level 60 is just the highest you can be. By the time you get there, well, guess what? A new expansion pack comes out, so it sucks out even more time.
Yeah.
I played that for about a month and with some guys from work, and it was one of those things that by the time you look at the actual amount of time you spent in it, you just have to you can find something better to do, it feels like.
Or at least you could find something better to do.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I guess better to do may not be the right way to say it, but maybe something a little bit more productive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to knock. I mean, if that's the way to spend your downtime, I mean, I am by far and no means any person to judge. My thing is just like it starts to get beyond downtime and bleed into other aspects of my life. Is my problem. It's a great way if I have like an hour to kill. Like, that was one of the things I liked about Skyrim, was because you could pick it up and you could do like a quest, and it took maybe half an hour, and then you could put it down and walk away, and you didn't have this itch, or at least that's the way it was for me. I didn't have this itch to be like, well, I'll just do one more quest. I could play it for a little bit and feel a sense of satisfaction when I was done, and it was fine. I don't know. But yeah, Diablo 3, you just run around and you kill things and you take its shit, and it never ends. Because then once you beat it, then they have nightmare mode, and then after nightmare mode is inferno mode, and it just keeps going and I can't. It eats too much of my time.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't get into too. I mean, I've played like Skyrim and those, but I get really into more like sports games because that gives you kind of a set time of, this game lasts from here to here, then you're done.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives you that hour 15 of time to play your game, finish, and then you've accomplished something. Skyrim, great game, loved it. My problem is I stepped away for a little bit, and like this happened to me like 2 or 3 times. I finished, like I didn't play it for a few months. I'd come back, start playing, and I'd be playing for like an hour, maybe an hour 15. And I'd be like, well, I don't really need to save yet. Let me finish this little spot, and then, be fine. Sure enough, you die, and you lose all that stuff you've done.
Yeah.
You'd be like kind of a rage quit scenario. And you're just like, fuck this, quit, and call it good.
Yeah. Rage quit. I've always loved the rage quit. Rage quits are one of the fun things I like to see on the internet. Is you see someone just like pound on their keyboard. I saw one that some kid did it in German, and it was hilarious.
Put some metal music to it, and been perfect.
Yeah. One thing you were saying about WoW, I can say that I've never gotten into WoW. I sat down in front of World of Warcraft and I played it for a tops maybe like 4 hours, and it just wasn't doing it for me. I don't know. I think it was just in those 4 hours, I could already see, I'm like, this is going to be a lot of tedious exercises to which I am just going to either get frustrated because I'm not really doing anything, or frustrated because the piddly things that I am doing is not fulfilling me. I don't know. That's...
Yeah, they do. It's one of those things where with that, it's like it gets really tedious, but then every month they have something a little different. So it's just enough spice to be like, oh, well, it's October, so it's Headless Horseman month. So you can spend the whole month trying to get something from him when he drops whatever, or when you fight him. And he only spawns every like 15 minutes in certain areas. And so they do those kind of things to like, well, I'm going to quit this month. But it's like, well, it's December. It's, the Winter Solace, or it's the Winter Festival or whatever. It's like, I'm going to stay on just to do that. And it's just enough of like a little tease to keep you in it. And it seems like a lot of people at work, when they get to the point where they're like, yeah, I'm completely done. It's like, oh, a new expansion pack's coming out. It's like, well, I'll stay on a little bit, see what this is like.
Yeah. I can only imagine like the arguments that like in households. Be like, babe, I can't quit. It's Headless Horseman month.
Yeah, I know.
Or just like people screaming at each other, fuck you, it's winter solstice. Awesome.
There's a guy at work that plays a lot, and he got his wife hooked into it, so that's kind of his end. So she plays it just as much as he does. So that's probably the best way to avoid fights.
Yeah, I will say, like, my wife got into Skyrim, and like I would get home. There was one day I was at work, and I get this text in the middle of work, and she's like, "You need to call me right now." And I'm thinking, like, one of the kids fell over and like cracked their head open, and so I call her and I'm like, "What's the matter?" She's like, "I killed my first dragon." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's the middle of the afternoon, and I was like, "Why didn't you just text me that you killed the dragon?" Well, I thought it'd be better if I told you. It's more of an event.
Rich, it was a fucking dragon, man.
She's like, "Can you take screenshots?" I'm like, "No, you can't take screenshots."
Although cell phone pictures work out pretty well for that.
Yeah.
I was playing Grand Theft Auto. Is 5 the new one now, or is it 4?
5.
I was playing it, and I came out of the strip club, and I had a bike and a motorcycle, and somehow there's a glitch, and my car was backed up onto my bike. So I was like, that's picture worthy. That game was actually pretty sweet. I don't know if you've played it.
I haven't. I have Grand Theft Auto 3, 4, or 5.
Oh wow, that was the first game I really started playing. Was that and Max Payne. So that's kind of like my game because when when I was younger, I had a Super Nintendo, but I never really was a big gamer. It was just mostly like wrestling games and sports. And then I kind of skipped out on the PlayStation and ended up getting the PS2 like towards the end of its life.
Oh, I see.
And so I've never been a big gamer, so it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto was the first real game that I played. So those are always kind of a soft spot for me. But in this one, they had those three players you could play, and you basically could hop out of any one at any time.
Okay.
And I thought it wouldn't be that cool of an idea, but it actually worked out pretty well. What was nice about it is like you'd finish something, like something would happen real quick with one of them. You're like, well, I don't really want to quit right now. I kind of want to keep playing, but I don't really feel like playing this guy. Bounce out, go to the other one. You can get another good 15, 20 minutes in. It kind of helped that boredom factor, so you didn't feel like you were just trugging through something.
Right. It's not that the game seemed unappealing to me. They seemed extremely appealing. It just, I don't know. The thing with a video game is, especially now, like you're shelling out $60, and for me, $60 worth of game, it demands a lot. If I'm shelling out $60 for something, I'm asking a lot of it, and it's not that games don't deliver. It's it's the fear that they won't deliver is the reason I don't touch a lot of them. And that's it's sad to say, but and I think that a lot of game developers, it's not their fault because they're making high-end quality products, but with that price point, and it's a price point that they can't avoid. With that price point, it alienates a lot of mainstream customers because $60 is a lot of money.
Yeah. Do you have because I feel the same way. Like there's some games you get and it's like 15, 20 hours tops, and that seems completely worthless. Like you basically spent $3 per hour playing it. So I always kind of break things down, like, okay, how much did it cost me per hour?
Yeah, I do that too. What was the worst one for you? Worst game that you ever either bought or got as a gift? That you that you played it and you were just like, what did I do? What is this? This is terrible. Oh,
I think it would have been one of the Killzones. I think like Killzone 2. I started playing it and it was not that great. I've only really, I think I could probably count the number of games I've actually beat on my both hands. Yeah, it would probably been that Killzone 2. It was a little rough. What would be your game?
Oh, this is so sad. I had an extra $20 and I bought the Da Vinci Code. That was terrible. The reason I bought it was because I looked at it and I said, well, they're offering a free movie ticket with the game. So I'm like, it's about $7-8 for a movie ticket. I was like, so really I'm spending like $13 for a game. Yeah, whatever, I'll go for it. Oh, it was terrible. It was so bad. So bad.
I remember playing...
I read the book. I loved the book. The movie was okay. Movies are what they are, especially if you've read the book. But, the game was terrible. And I remember I went to go trade it in at GameStop, and I think I got like $1.50 for it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I've always kind of stayed away from... I don't know if I've ever played one, but whenever there's a movie tie-in to a video game, I always just try to stay away.
That's the general rule, yeah.
I've kind of learned that with comic books, too. It seems like if there's a comic book based on a TV show or a movie, to just kind of stay away from it, too. I got there's a Dexter coming out from Marvel, and I got it expecting it to be some kind of, at least inside the canon, and it was way off. Like, it made no sense whatsoever.
Now, was it trying to recreate the story, or was it trying to tell a different story in that universe?
It was just a different story in that universe. Because they kind of picked it up where he went to. Because have you seen all those shows?
I haven't. It's one of those shows that I'm saving to just binge watch like beginning to end. And I do that one, but right now I'm doing Game of Thrones. So
nice. Yeah, we'll have to have some good discussions about Game of Thrones. I actually just finished the current book that's out, and it's really, really good. But what it was is, so it started out with, because in the TV show he goes back to his high school reunion, but in the comic they send him back to his high school reunion too, and it's like completely like, it's, you only have one high school reunion every 5 or 10 years, so
Right,
it's
right.
like, it just didn't make any sense, and the characters didn't look like the characters from the show, so it's really hard to know. It's like, oh, okay, is this guy Dexter, or is this somebody else? Is this person, or is this somebody other person? And it just didn't make any sense. I think they've already.
Well, I think it just depends on how you do it. Because I mean, if I understand, like I said, like with Game of Thrones, I'm just about ready to. I will probably finish season 1 tonight. So I'm way behind. But I did that intentionally because I'm a binge watcher. I don't like to go week to week. I like to take a whole thing and just plow. Like I plowed through Breaking Bad in probably a week and a half, beginning to end. And that's just the way I like to watch TV or anything. But like with Game of Thrones, the way I understand it is that a lot of times actors have changed roles in the show. Like characters that were played by one actor get played by another actor later on down the road, and they don't explain that, or they don't acknowledge it or anything. So it's hard. I've heard some people say that it makes it even harder to keep track, especially considering the way the story bounces around.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking just in general, or for like Game of Thrones?
Well, just for Game of Thrones.
With Game of Thrones, there's just a crap ton of characters. I watched the first 2 seasons before I started reading the books, and then I jumped into the books. And if I would have went to the books first, I would have had to read extremely slow and carefully, and probably have to map out characters because there's just so many and they're so complex.
Yeah.
Even when I picked up the first season and started watching it was really overwhelming. It took me half the season just to kind of figure out what was going on.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the same for me. It was probably about episode 5 or 6. I was like, okay, this is that. This is he's that. He's that. He's with this house. He's with that house. These people hate each other. These people really like each other. Yeah, it took me probably 5 or 6 episodes just to understand who was what and what the dynamics were between who and what.
And if you're interested, I'll have to lend you those books because they're extremely well written.
He types those on a DOS. He types those out on DOS. That's why it takes him so long to come out with new books.
It's awesome because, and the reason he does that is because with all the other word processors, they basically have capitalized things and whatnot. And he's like, well, I don't want to capitalize that. If I wanted to capitalize it, I would have made it capital. So it's pretty interesting. He seems like a really interesting guy.
Yeah, there was an interview I was gonna listen to of his, but I haven't gotten around to it.
It's because those books, I don't know if you've looked at the timeline on those. I think the first one was written in '96, and then it was a 3-year break until the second one came out, and it was 3 or 4 years, and 3 or 4 or 5 more years for the next one. So if you started reading those in '96 and you're 20, you're going to be in your 50s to mid 50s by the time it's finished.
Yeah, how many? Well, he's just about ready to come out with a new one, within the next year or two, isn't he? Or within the next year, I thought.
It should be. It's kind of up in the air when it'll be done. I think because people keep asking him. I think it should be pretty soon, but there's just 2 more left. There's rumors that he's going to basically make 3 more, so it's going to be 8 books instead of 7. But he kind of didn't disprove that, but he went against that pretty recently, saying that no, he's only got 2 more books in him. But it was funny, too, because there's another interview I read where he's talking, and he said that he's really excited to wrap all this up so he can move on to new things. And 3 or 4 of the things he mentioned were all based in this Game of Thrones realm.
Oh, okay.
So it was just different stories, but it was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, I honestly, I do the same thing. I mean, if I spend, 20 years or so creating this entire setting, I mean, you're damn sure I'm beating the shit out of that horse.
Heck yeah. Well, I was asking somebody because everybody compares him to Tolkien, and Tolkien wrote 30 books in his realm, in Middle Earth. I mean, there's tons of stories there. I mean, you can go in the past, you can go in the future. I mean, it's endless. You can do whatever you want, and you can start commissioning out stories to other people to write if you really wanted to, kind of Star Warsian, where they have people to write.
He kind of did that. Like his son finished his last book, the book before he died, the Silmarillion. Like his son did some of the finishing touches on the book before it was published, and I mean, there's all sort. I mean, you can take anything, especially nowadays. You can take anything, and you can see fan fiction. I mean, I don't know how much fan fiction have you seen about Frodo like just banging the crap out of Sam.
I haven't looked it up in weeks, but that's the internet for you. Let you do whatever you want,
and let anybody sleep with anybody they want in the theater of our minds.
So just went and saw X-Men last night.
You saw? I haven't seen X-Men. I did go see Godzilla because that's a childhood thing for me. I was probably 6 years old the first time I saw Godzilla on TV.
I thought Godzilla came out in like 98 or 99.
Here. No, we're not doing no. No, we're not doing that. That wasn't Godzilla. That was, I don't know, that was Jurassic Park 4. The Raptors Take Manhattan. I don't know what the hell that movie was. Ferris Bueller was in it.
There was a meme. It had like old Godzilla, the one from the Matthew Broderick thing, and then the new Godzilla, and it said something like "real monsters have curves," because the Matthew Broderick one, I guess, was a little bit more slimmer. So were you a fan of the new Godzilla?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Were you a fan of the new Godzilla? Did you like it?
The one that just came out. Yeah, it actually wasn't bad. It was because I mean I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure at one point they had a guy in a rubber suit.
Oh, really?
Like, I mean, I couldn't totally tell, but I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at the shot and I'm like, there's somebody in a fucking Godzilla costume. But
have you done any looking to see if they've said that they did that or anything?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked at it. But I mean, yeah, 6 years old. The old black and white Godzilla, the American version, the one with Raymond Burr. I can't call myself a purist that like watched Gojira when I was.
Yeah.
No, I watched the old. I mean, it was 50s or 60s. I'm pretty sure it was 60s with Raymond Burr, and it was. I mean, you're captivated. It's like King Kong, where you actually, towards the end, you sympathize for the monster, which is a hard thing to get an audience to do, especially then. It's a hard thing to get an audience to sympathize with the creature that's terrorizing people and killing people. But it happens. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. And then later they make him like, later on when they release more movies, they make him like the defender of Earth, basically. He's fighting giant moths and he's fighting three-headed dragons and he's,
So they've always kind of made him like that, kind of like the defender of the people, I guess, or the balancer of power.
Well, and I mean, the first one, the very first one, it's just basically he shows up, he destroys Tokyo, and then he leaves, and then they kill him. I don't think I need to say spoilers for the first one because this thing came out like 60 years ago. If you haven't seen the original Godzilla 60 years ago, I'm sorry. I think the expiration date on saying spoilers for black and white Godzilla, I think that time has passed.
I'd say you got like a 20-year window. If you have anything 20 years ago, maybe, but beyond 20 years, yeah, you probably should have seen it.
Exactly. By the way, in Breakfast Club, never mind. No, I'll leave that alone.
It was all a dream.
And all of a sudden, Mario wakes up, and you're like, "Where did that? Who came first?" But yeah. So it's
just imagine Mario putting lipstick between his huge boobs and.
Yeah.
I said Mario, not the whatever the girl was.
I don't know, Molly Ringwald.
Yeah,
Whoever Molly Ringwald was, I can't think of the name. But no, so yeah, the first black and white Godzilla shows up, destroys Tokyo, leaves, and whatever. But after that, they basically make him like the defender of Earth. Like other monsters come up and they terrorize the city. But then Godzilla shows up and kills the monster for some, and nobody can really figure out why. They're like, what, but he does. He shows up and he kills whatever other monster is now destroying the city that he just destroyed. He's like, no, that's mine. I don't know. I don't know what he does. But
it's good TV.
Exactly. But I mean, there's tons of movies where where that's what he does, and they can't. I mean, when I was a kid, they actually had a cartoon of Godzilla. They had where Godzilla showed up and saved the day for a bunch of English speaking children, and everybody was happy. But no, I mean, and this one that just came out. I mean, I'd say it gave you that sense of, that Godzilla was a terror to behold, but there's other qualities to it as well. Plus, Bryan Cranston's in it, so.
Yeah, spoilers on that, but yeah, I expected him to be in the movie a little bit longer than what he was.
So did I. I sat in the theater. Because you see the trailer and he's all over the trailer, like he's all over it. But then you're watching the movie and then you're going, what? Where? They pull the zipper and you're like, what?
That's not him, is it?
Is that it? Is this all we're getting at a Walter White? No, no. All right, okay. I honestly was thinking, like, well, maybe I'm sitting there in my brain trying to like run it through. I'm like, well, maybe they faked his death because that way his son would leave and then he could spend time researching the monster with the Japanese guys. And this is a scenario that went through my head.
I'm trying to think what other. I guess I'm trying to think of the big monster movies that I know of. I'm guessing really the only one that I've really seen is Cloverfield and then the Jurassic Parks, but. Like you said, how they kind of humanize, or not really humanize, but I guess they kind of do humanize the beasts. Like in Jurassic Park, I mean, you kind of see the T-Rex kind of being humanized, and then the later ones, they kind of do that with the raptors. I guess Cloverfield's probably one that I think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
didn't really.
Yeah, Cloverfield, they just kind of, the monster was the monster. The Cloverfield was more about, I think it was more about telling the story from that eye level, street level point of view. I don't think it was really so much about the monster attack in and of itself. But
kind of like a Walking Dead almost, where it's kind of like showing you how the people react to it instead of the actual.
Yeah, exactly.
Actual thing that's causing the issues.
Exactly. But yeah, with Godzilla, there was more. Like I said, I guess the closest thing I could compare it to would probably be like King Kong, where, by the time you get to the end of King Kong, there's a pity, and I mean I don't even know if it's pity. There's a sympathy for this gigantic effing gorilla,
like Mighty Joe Young.
Did you? Okay, but yeah, let's go with Mighty Joe. Yes, it's exactly like Mighty Joe Young.
He was a big ape. I mean, he wasn't King Kong, but
that's true.
At least I didn't say Air Bud.
That's true. I thought you were gonna go with like Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, Harry and the Hendersons! I love that movie. That's a good one though. It's funny. But there's a crap ton of good movies coming out this summer, though. I said, just saw the X-Men. Dawn of Planet of the Apes is coming out.
Oh yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy will be out.
That
new Tom.
That movie's gonna make millions.
Oh yeah, it's they've done a really good job with that. Just how they set it up and marketed it, and it's been what 3-4 years since the last one, if not more.
It's been 3. Well,
okay.
No, since the last Marvel. Oh, I thought we were going with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh no, I meant the Dawn of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it's about 3 years. At least 2.
Because typically what you see with those when they try to redo those franchises, it's like they come out with it, and then like quickly there's a new one, and then another one.
Well, I think they probably did. I got the impression that they didn't expect Dawn of the Planet of the Apes to do as well as it did. And I think that's why the sequel was kind of slow coming.
Gotcha. It was one of those they were trying to see how it would do. And
they were like, "Oh, this movie made money. That's awesome. Yeah, fuck yeah, make another. Make 5. Make 5. We'll have Dawn of the Planet of the Rise of the Planet of the Beginning Apes.
Dusk of Planet of the Apes. Twilight of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, you put Twilight in there, and it's going to be huge. Is this the new Twilight? And you get those kids just kind of accidentally walking in.
And it's just apes throwing glitter on each other. Look, now you look pretty too. Or like one's throwing glitter on it, and then the other one's like, no!
Just a lone Team Edward shirt somewhere.
Wait a minute. These aren't wolves.
Oh, we still got popcorn. I have found that the best movie night so far, at least here in Columbia, has been Wednesday nights. I don't know if it's church night or what it is, but been going there for the last 3 or 4 movies I went and seen, and we just go on Wednesday night, and there's like 6 people in the whole theater, so it's perfect.
Yeah. It depends. To me, it depends on the movie. Like, if I'm going to see, like, if I was going to see something like X-Men or the Avengers, like, I like sitting in a completely packed theater. Like, if it's like the Avengers, like the first time I saw the Avengers, it was a midnight show, and like the theater's full, and there's people in costume, and it's I like that kind of setting. I did that with Dark Knight Rises, and that movie needed all the help it could get.
Yeah,
I did that with Avengers, and there's a palpable energy you get, and it's infectious when you see all these people in costume, and they're excited, and they're excited that this movie that has these characters that they've loved for years, and they're gonna see them. They're gonna see them on screen, and they're gonna be doing badass shit, and it gets you. It's infectious. It gets you pumped. And the beautiful thing that I've had in my movie experiences with that is when the movie's actually going, like before the movie, everybody's crazy and running around and whatever. But when the actual movie starts, it's dead silence.
Oh yeah. Except in like the right parts where like.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the laughs when there's the laughs, and when there's references that are kind of subtle to pick up on, you hear it kind of like throughout the. It kind of like it's like a rolling whisper that goes through like a wave.
But I think I've had bad luck with like midnight showings though. I don't know if we talked about this before, but like I saw like Pirates of the Caribbean 3, and then we went together to see Spider-Man 3.
I honestly, I think we just pick bad movies.
Yeah.
To see, Spider-Man 3.
That was a rough one. Oh god. I think when he started dancing, I was like, I can think that's when we looked at each other. I was like, do you just want to leave?
That's what I was kind of thinking too.
And we look over at Kevin, and Kevin's just got this big smile on his face, and he's all excited. Walk out of the theater, he's like, that was the greatest movie ever.
Oh, so I remember, like, were you with somebody? Did you have somebody with you aside from me? Because I remember I had my wife with me.
I don't think so, but I can't remember.
Because I remember, like, I walked out, and Kevin was like, wow, that was amazing. And then I look at you, and I was just like, he danced in that movie. And that hair. Oh, my God, that hair.
That's just...
Like, oh, look. I mean, I was just expecting, like, a My Chemical Romance track to play while he was... And then have him, like, walking down the street, jamming out to, like, My Chemical Romance. Or insert emo band here.
God, and it was just... he had the most awesome villain ever.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And it was squandered.
Yeah.
Squandered and sullied.
That's what, because the theater we go by, they have all 4 of the Ninja Turtle posters lined up right by the exit. And I'm so excited. I think I'm probably going to go to a midnight showing if they have one. But it's just...
For those that don't know, Sean is completely obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's obsessed with a lot of things. He's very infectious. He gets jazzed about things, and he gets really freaked out about things. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of those things. So if you hear a little quiver in his voice, that's why. Anyway, continue.
Well, I'm only wearing my turtle shirt, my turtle pajama bottoms. My turtle underwear is getting clean, so... but I do have my turtle mask on, obviously.
Obviously.
But, I mean, the trailer looks all right.
You should just leave your windows open and just people just ride by and be like, why is Donatello sitting in a pool? And why does he look so angry?
I did get Tiffany, well, I didn't get her this, but we've talked about doing this for Halloween. They have, like, the slutty turtle costumes. Getting her a Raphael one. And then I want to get like a Casey Jones set up and go as Casey Jones.
See, it's the mental imagery right now because now I'm picturing Casey Jones fucking Raphael. Like you would think the obvious choice would be, oh, one goes as April O'Neil and then the other one goes as a turtle. But no.
Maybe that would be a better costume. Maybe I should go as April O'Neil. That might not be too bad.
Or you could have her as April because she has the breasts.
That's true. I don't. I was gonna say there's probably not a slutty April O'Neil outfit, but obviously there's gonna be a slutty April O'Neil outfit out there somewhere.
And if there is, I know you'll find it. But the thing is honestly, I think what you should do is just go with Raphael and Casey Jones, and then just be completely inappropriate with each other at parties.
Well, at least it's
just make everybody uncomfortable.
It would be worse if she went like an actual like a male Raphael costume.
How can you tell the difference?
Oh, you can tell the difference if you Google it. It's like a skirt instead of like pants, and then like you got the turtle shell, but it's very feminine.
See, so now I'm just picturing like a Ninja Turtle in a skirt.
Beefed up, can't even tell if it's a girl or not.
I'm a princess. I'm a pretty princess.
Yes, you are. Yeah, we've talked about doing that for a while, but it's one of those things. Halloween comes around, we're both like, "Do you really want to go out?" It's like, no. It's like, all right, well, let's watch Rocky Horror Picture Show.
My daughter loves that movie. I've gotten her into that movie.
It's a good flick. It's a good. We had people over a couple of years ago because I got the anniversary edition, and it has in the corner it'll pop up like with what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I've gotten that too.
Bought all that stuff, and then.
Have you ever been to an actual show where they do that?
No, I want to. Here in town, they do it. I think they do it like 2 or 3 times a year. They do it right around Halloween, and they do it 6 months to Halloween. It's like the halfway to Halloween Rocky Horror Picture Show night. Yeah,
they do. There's a guy I know. He used to own a business in town, but he has them in his basement, and he's got this giant 60, 70-inch screen and with a projector, and he'll put the movie on. He's got it's almost like it's a small theater, seats about like maybe 20, 25, and he invites people over, and we usually, it's nice because you get to bring drinks, so we sit and last time I went, I think I went through like a bottle and a half of wine and just yelling at the screen, and other people are yelling, and it's a good time.
Do you know all the stuff to do just from watching it, or do you?
Well, that's the thing is there's different versions. There's different versions, and there's different things to say, and it kind of varies, and I think that's kind of the beauty thing of it is like you just sit there and you hear other people say stuff, or you see something, and you can just pull something out of your ass.
Just make stuff up.
Yeah, just make stuff up. Who cares?
It's like, you sucked in Bull Durham, and everybody looks at you and it's like, that was after this was made. You know what, Bull Durham? You see her boobs.
That's true.
It's a little down blousey kind of look, but she still looks pretty good for her age, even though she's kind of crazy.
You know what? I embrace crazy. That's just me.
Yeah, a little crazy's not too bad.
But again, see, there you go. Rocky is a monster who is created in a lab.
Yeah.
And then you find sympathy for him. See,
yeah, who gets killed in that? Is it Bon Jovi that gets killed, or is it? Yeah, it's Bon Jovi that gets killed, isn't it?
No, it's
Or not
Meatloaf.
Bon Jovi, Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
We were just down on our trip, and there was a bar where they were playing like weird music, and Meatloaf was playing in the background. It wasn't like one of his big songs; it was just one of his songs. And it took me a second. I'm like, where the hell did I? Why does his voice sound familiar? And somebody said his name. I'm like, oh, not really have an urge to watch a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, one song on there, not a lot of screen time, but he was awesome. Rode around on a motorcycle, had little love and hate tattoos on his knuckles. Can't beat it.
Was he in any other movies, or is that the only one he's really been in?
As an actor, I think he's been in a few. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head, but I know he's been in more than one.
Okay. I always just remember his videos being very cinematic as well.
Oh yeah. Well, his earlier videos were more like concert videos. Like you look at the videos for Paradise by the Dashboard Light or 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad, and it was more like they're more like concert videos. But I mean, he emotes with his face when he sings. I mean, it's almost like he's like reaching down from his soul and like just raw. He's bearing this shit. He's bringing the pain.
Bad Out of Hell. That's an awesome name for an album, too.
Yeah. So it was so much so that he made him the second one, Bad Out of Hell 2, because he's like, I can't beat it.
Yeah.
The thing's called Bad Out of Hell. Like, how do you top that? Bad Out of Hell 2. Back into hell.
Bat into hell.
Yeah.
Mercy.
So anyway, X-Men.
X-Men. It was pretty good. Not too much to spoil it, but yeah, it was good. It's worth watching in the theater, I think. I always think it's real interesting just because you have different studios owning different Marvel rights. And so you get like shows like X-Men where they probably could do some type of tie with the Avengers, but they can't because of studio.
The way I
ownership.
understand this, and I mean, I'm not totally sure if this is right, but the way I understand that agreement is that is it Sony? Is Sony the one that owns X-Men?
Sony owns Spider-Man, and I think it's
Fox.
Fox. Yeah, Fox owns X-Men.
The way I understand the agreement with Fox is that as long as Fox continues to make movies that features the X-Men, then they retain the rights to the X-Men.
Gotcha.
So once a period of time lapses that they haven't made a movie with the X-Men, then those rights revert back to Marvel. And I think this is the reason that we got X3, The Last Stand.
Yeah.
Which was a terrible movie.
Well, even the X-Men Origin Wolverine was just terrible.
Yeah.
It was rough.
X-Men Origin Wolverine was pretty rough. The one that came out last summer, just the Wolverine, that one I haven't seen. So
it was good.
It
wasn't too bad. I saw it in theaters, and I mean it was worth going to see. I saw the X-Men First Class just on a laptop and watched it there, and that was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
But I do like how they've kind of kept all the characters as the same people and have kind of tied all those stories together, so it hasn't gone. So they're not independent of each other. Because that's what I always really like is when you have stories that all tie together. I'm trying to think of like movies that, like I guess Jurassic Park. Just going back to it, each movie is basically its own thing. And there's not really like a big overlapping story, but with the X-Men, they've kind of kept everything in that same universe, that same lineage.
Right. Which I don't know. It seems like I would say it seems. I got the impression that the way Days of Future Past that I've seen, like just in trailers or whatnot, or clips that I've seen, it seems like they don't really put X3 in there in that list of, oh yeah, that X3 that totally happened. It seems like it's almost like it's the ugly stepsister that they lock in a closet, and they're like, well, yeah, I mean that one's there, but we're not gonna really look at it.
There was something that happened in a third episode. We don't know what. It was,
I think some people died. I don't know. Maybe who? It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Look. We have Fassbender playing Magneto. Like, look at that. Don't. It's all misdirection. Pay no attention to the.
But they even kind of stuck the dagger in a little deeper. They're like, well, look, Wolverine's going to get his own movie called X-Men Origin Wolverine. It's like, just push it in a little further.
Yeah.
But I think they've kind of fixed what they screwed up, and it's on a decent path now, I think.
Yeah, at First Class looked good, and I am curious to see Days of Future Past, especially now that I'm into Game of Thrones because they got what's his face playing Trask. The imp.
Oh yeah. What is his name? Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. That's it.
Yeah, he does a really good job. He's an awesome actor. I think he does a good job on Game of Thrones as Tyrion, and then just in that show as well. He did a good job.
Yeah. So that one I'm gonna see. I'll probably see it. Who knows? Hopefully within the next couple weeks.
Hey, you have to let me know what you think.
I will.
So. You said you've been watching Game of Thrones. What do you think of that?
Well, like I said, I'm about like two episodes from the end of the first season. So I just got done watching everything go completely crazy in the first season. Like kind of, and then things happen, and I'll go for it. And I mean, it's the first season. I'm sorry. Anyway, spoilers. What happens is when I just got done watching where Robert dies, and Ned goes up to try and claim the throne, and then the Queen basically rips that up, and Ned's in the dungeon, and Rob's marching in from the north to try and take him down, and so that's where I'm at. I'm like I said, I'm just about ready to finish that first season off. But honestly, the people that are my fan favorites here for me are Khaleesi and Drago.
Yeah, they're both pretty awesome. She's Khaleesi's just a great character. I mean, she's just perfect for what she is.
Yeah.
And just even as the story goes, it just gets better and better.
Yeah. And then Drago, I don't know if it was because of Game of Thrones, but Drago ended up doing that Conan the Barbarian remake.
Yeah, I think I saw bits and pieces of that. I can't remember if that was after or
Which
before.
Could have been such a good movie. It looked great, and the story was kind of there. And there was, to me, honestly, like I think they could have made it bigger and they could have done so much more. And I think that they just didn't trust it. I think they didn't trust the story. Because they could have done so much more because they showcase all these great places, and they showcase all these characters, and I think they could have expanded on it and just made it amazing. And he wasn't bad as Conan. I liked him as Conan.
Did he do a lot of speaking in that? Because I know in Game of Thrones he doesn't have a ton of speaking parts, but
and the one he does, it's not in English.
Yeah.
He spoke more than I would. I mean, obviously more than Schwarzenegger did in the one in the 70s. And I mean, to me, the original Conan the Barbarian, like that's your ultimate man movie right there.
I love how we've had this discussion before, and I always made that show always felt very homoerotic to me. I think it's because I saw the Beastmaster first, and so I basically associated those two together. Ooh. And because I remember you always tell me, it's like, oh no, there's an orgy and there's boobs everywhere.
Yeah, there's orgies and there's all chicks are showing off their. I think he sleeps with like 4 people in that movie. No, 1, 2, 3. He sleeps with at least 3 people in that movie. In an hour and a half, one movie, he sleeps with 3 people, and he's just he's whatever. Yeah, I'm doing it. So what?
Is there much gratuitousness in the new one, or is it pretty tame?
I don't totally recall. I think it was gorier. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was rated R, so it was gory, and I think there was a little bit of sex in it, but
okay.
I don't. It was all right. It was okay, but I think they could have done a lot more. It was good for what it was, but I think they could have done so much more with it, especially because, like, because there's tons of books on that, and that's a whole world.
Because did Schwarzenegger make 2 movies out of that?
Yeah, the second one was.
Was it rough?
It was not that great. Not that great at all.
Going back to Game of Thrones, I think my favorite character's probably got to be Jon Snow. Just that kind of underdoggy type story. I think I've always kind of leaned towards that kind of stuff. So
I think that's why I like Tyrion.
Yeah. Kind of the strong.
Well, he's just kind of like, he's just kind of a smart ass, and but he's smart enough to get by with what he has.
Mm.
And I find that admirable.
Well, I don't know if he really says it for sure, but just kind of talks about how, he was born a Lannister, so that's the only reason he's really alive. Otherwise, he would, if he was born to any other family, they probably would have just dumped him in the water or dumped him in the woods because, dwarfs are the bastards of, how does it say? Like, dwarves are the bastards of, or all dwarfs are bastards in the eyes of their father or something like that.
Oh, yeah, he says that at one point.
But it's just, both those characters are pretty cool.
Yeah. But you had a bunch of things you wanted to talk about, and we've kind of meandered around. We don't have a whole bunch of time left, but I know. Okay, like earlier, how I was saying that Sean has a propensity for getting really excited about things and also getting really freaked out about things. He has a growing list of irrational fears. And yes, they are irrational fears. One of the irrational fears that he has is sharks. He hates sharks. He's very scared of sharks. Have you ever seen a shark? Like,
I have. I've touched 2 sharks in my life.
You have so you've actually laid hands upon the beast.
Yeah. So the very first time I ever did it was in.
I felt its unclean skin.
I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, and I'll tell you exactly how I felt. So I was in Key West, and there was this kind of aquarium place, and they had like a really small pool. It was probably, 20, 30 yards long and maybe a foot or 2 deep, but it had a bunch of nurse sharks in there, and you were just walking right above them.
So was this at the behest of your wife, the touching of the shark?
No, this was one of them is, yes. The other one is from a girlfriend from back in high school, or it was right at college. And so my fear was as I was walking around is that I would trip and fall in, or somebody would push me in. Kind of irrational, but that's whatever.
Well, at least you recognize it.
Yeah, you got to be prepared. You never know. They're like nurse sharks. They don't harm people, and I fall in and get devoured. It's like, have you ever heard of a feeding frenzy, fuckers?
I'm chum in here. I'm fucking chum. Chum's going down.
And so then you go outside, and they have this kind of big cage, and you can walk in it's like a square shape, and you're maybe 30 feet above the water, and they had it was a bigger shark. I can't remember what it was. But as I'm walking around, I have this constant fear of, this thing's going to break and I'm going to fall in and I'm going to get eaten. So
because that happens all the time. I see that in the news.
Yeah.
And then the sharks grew legs and they became self-aware and they built Skynet and Rise of the Planet of the Sharks. That walk.
Who's there? Land shark.
Ganogram.
But so we get back inside and the guy carries around a shark and I touch it and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then my girlfriend's mom touches it, and right when she does it, starts flipping out, freaking out. And, of course, I just scream and run out of the room. This is how it happens. The better story though, the last time I touched a shark, at the zoo in St. Louis, they have an aquarium and they had a little baby hammerhead. And instantly I ID where it's at. I'm watching it the whole time. It's not more than maybe a foot long. It's super small.
Do you do a little commentary with yourself, like you're on a walkie-talkie, like you're leading like a SEAL team, be like, I've got eyes on the shark?
All right, it's at about 6 o'clock right now. All right. Okay, it's going. All right, it's going due south now. We should be in the clear. Oh shit! It just took a right turn. It's coming right for us. But so they had stingrays, and so I'm petting the stingrays, and I'm fine. Which probably should be more scared because that's how the crocodile hunter was killed. So,
Exactly.
they're
Stabbed in
probably
the
more
heart,
deadly.
pierced through the heart by an.
So I'm petting those, eyes on the shark, and he kind of does a 180 and is coming around the side, and I'm watching him. He turns left, turns right, coming right our way, and he gets maybe 3 feet away from me. And Tiffany's hand's behind mine. I instinctively pull my hand away out of the water. Hers is still in there, and it just swims right by her. I was like, oh, okay. I was going to let it eat you and not me, but obviously that didn't happen. So when it made another round in, I petted it.
Did you contemplate pushing her in to save yourself?
Yeah.
Like the shark swimming up and you just pull away, be like, no, take her, sploosh. There's your chum.
Love you.
Woman goes into Shark Tank. Woman dies.
It's like, is it nuzzling you? Quick, that's how they track you.
It's got your scent.
That's the that's the 2 times I've touched a shark. But kind of going on our movie talk, so there's a site I always check, and they always put like different shark things on there. So whenever there's like a shark attack thing, like I look at it just to remind myself why I don't go in the ocean or go very far in the ocean. But there's a movie coming out called, I'm trying to remember what it's called real quick. Let's see.
Because of course, as a basis for everything that we consider to be real life, we use movies.
Ooh, yeah. Well, that's why I'm scared of sharks. I mean, Jaws. You watch that enough times when you're like 4 or 5, and it's like, oh God, this happens all the time.
See, this is why I'm scared of robots becoming self-aware.
And
apes.
It's bound to happen. It's called Piranha Sharks. So the trailer, basically, it's these scientists who basically want to make like cute pet sharks, and so they somehow mix the genes and they get like mini piranha great white sharks. And of course, what happens? They get into the water system and are breaking into pools and whatnot, or breaking into like bathtubs. The image of it looks freaking awesome because it looks like a little great white shark. In the actual movie, because this is a B movie, like this is a sci-fi movie, they look just like piranhas in the actual show. Okay. Like in the actual movie parts that they show, they just look like piranhas. So
it's
really
like that piranha, the Piranha 3D.
Yeah,
it was basically just an excuse to like show tits.
Yeah, for the most part. I don't know if this is on Sci-Fi or not, but terrible acting. I'm sure if it's not, there's probably boobs everywhere, and it's basically piranhas with the word sharks in it.
So it's. See, I'm actually surprised that, given your fear of sharks, I haven't heard a word out of you about the classic known as Sharknado. I
haven't seen it yet. I caught a few like GIFs of it, like when the dude from 90210 like jumps through it with a chainsaw.
It's a tornado of sharks. Like I just got done joking earlier about sharks growing legs. This is even worse. This is the sharks have taken flight. They are now soaring in the skies, and it's great white death from above.
Well, we had some nasty weather here last night, so I mean, I was sitting with the chainsaw at the ready, so you just never fucking know.
Sean, what are you doing? There's sharks. Watch out for the sharks.
It's like we're in the Midwest. What the fuck are you worried about?
They eats through the roofs. That's how they get you. They eats through the roofs.
But you know what? Everybody always says it's like you're more likely to be bitten, or you're more likely to get struck by lightning than bitten by a shark. And it's like, well, you know what? I don't go outside when it's raining, so I stay out of the ocean.
I have a statistic that'll help you. More people per capita per year are actually killed by cows.
I heard that.
Than sharks.
And you know what? I don't fuck with cows, so
I don't either. To me, like, it's them some smug bastards, because what they do is they just stare. They stare at you with those dead eyes, and and they chew, and you could just see it, the expression in their face. They're just like, one day. Yeah,
you think they're like, just like they have this like turns like they've killed millions of us. And you know what they do? They eat us. Those fat bastards.
And then
One
sometimes
day.
they feed. It's like Soylent Green. Like I'm waiting for one cow to stand up, and be like, "No, it's us, it's us. Cow feed is us." It's like smacking cud out of other cows' mouths. Be like, "No, spit it out. It's us."
They go to those 2 cows that are doing the eat more chicken signs. Like, you're doing it fucking wrong, bastards. Get down here and join the fight. The Cowvolution is here.
Dawn of the Planet of the Cows.
It's got to be a movie there somewhere.
I mean, all it needs is that hook. It needs that one hook, that pun, that just that makes the whole thing just click together. And I'm struggling to think of one. I don't know.
Been staked for so long, now we've staked you in the heart.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, say we've been going at it for a little bit, so probably wrap it up unless there's anything else you got to talk about.
We didn't get to any shark stuff. All I got to explain was just your irrational fear of sharks. You hate sharks.
Yeah, I gather stories all the time, so I think I've got a few. That,
he keeps. This is his way of rationalizing to himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look. They always
because he knows this is irrational fear, so he has to collect these things to say,
yeah.
Well, look, this one almost bit somebody. Weren't they covered in a suit of meat? Well, yeah, but that's not the point. Point is that they did it.
Sharks, evil bastards of the sea.
Yeah, I'm more scared to see it now. I'm like, after thinking about those dead eyes, I'm more scared of the cows.
I'm trying to think. Probably and realistically, the chances of me getting hurt by an animal has probably been more likely a cow. We had a handful when I was younger, and there was a big red one that would always stare down my mom, and I think it got out of hand a time or two, and yeah, that dude would tear you up, but ended up in the freezer, so I guess we won that battle.
Who's the bitch now? You are.
Oh, it's frozen burn. Throw it away. Americans and their wastefulness. All right. Well, on that note, I guess that's all the bromance we have left for this show. So this is Sean.
And this is Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver.
Or the cow.